Anything, man. No, but Mike, I think anytime your defense is confident and wants to be one of the best, I think that's a positive because if they're not answering that question and saying things like, "Hey, we want to be better than what we were last year," then we got problems. Okay, but the guys, it's like Coach Sass said a while ago, man. It's like we only have about 5, 6 starters that are back this year, but it still feels like we have a veteran group on that side of the football that have played a lot of ball for us, minus the safeties. And so that's the new thing for us, is just the safeties, being one of the groups that have not even played football for us here at University of Louisville. And so that's the question going into the season. But so far, so good with the whole group. And I'm just glad that those guys are excited. In order to be one of the best in ACC, we have to do a great job of staying on top of routes and not allowing the big play. If we can make teams drive the football and beat us that way, then so be it. But we got to be more aggressive in our passing lanes, as well as we got to get a pass rush from our front. And if we can do those and stay on top and number one, stop the run on a consistent basis, then you will continue to see us rise in the rankings as far as the ACC. Finishing 4th last year versus 14th the previous year was a big jump. And, of course, like CJ said, we want to see that continue to rise. Our theme of this year is elevate the standard, and our standard was high last year. Now it has to elevate even higher.
Hey, Bryan Cameron with the Courier Journal. You mentioned experience. You got a lot of guys back at linebacker. I mean, you see her, Nick, CJ, Monty. To have a group like that's not only high in talent but also experience, how much does that help you? And does it allow you to get a little more versatile with what you want to do in terms of the front seven and coverages and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. It allows you to do so much more now that this is year 3, in this scheme. Now you can do a little bit more things that, we did at App State a little bit more, but because now it's kind of ingrained in those guys and they know the base. So now we can get into some exotic things and do some certain things, up front. Coverage a lot of times will end up staying the same. But yeah, it allows you to be a lot more flexible and a little bit more fluid to do certain things up front when you have such a veteran group up front. So that always helps.
A quick follow-up to that. I mentioned you see her Nick to Yaya, and he obviously looked pretty excited about them. How much do you feel like those two can help in the pass rush, and maybe even getting Nick and Sear on a side on the field at the same time?
Man, I think those two guys have worked extremely hard this offseason, starting from January, and they've worked on their game, whether it's get off, their pass rush moves, their drops in the passing game. They've worked so hard, man, and I expect a really good year out of those two. And yes, at times you may see both of those guys out there on the field in certain packages if need be. But those two guys are battling out a dog, man, and doing a tremendous job for us. And that's one position that you technically don't have to worry about because it's really solid with those two there. And really excited about what they have for the season.
Hey, Bryan, it's Pat
Coach is Gary Grace from the AP. I guess along that line, year 3, how much have you been able to kind of tailor your defense to the guys' talents, or is it still kind of a thing you're trying to get them to do what you want them to do?
I think now, and we did it the first year, we had our base in, but we kind of had to tailor it into what we had here, what we inherited. I think now we're able to do a little bit more of just our basic schematics. Plus, now we can tailor to these guys' athletic ability, and things of that nature. Now you like Cam asked the question earlier. Now you can be a little bit more flexible because now you understand what a lot of these guys bring to the table. They're a little bit more in tune to what we're doing schematic wise with our base. And now you can do a little bit more different things that tailor into, okay, well, this is his best asset. Let's make sure we use it. And so that helps out a whole lot with having a veteran group.
Hey, Coach, it's Pat Jaggers, ESPN Louisville. Got a quick question for you in regards to turnovers. I know you've been asked about this a lot. You guys forced a ton at App State, and it's just not something you guys have done a lot at Louisville. But, talking about, depth and having experienced guys like Trey Clark, what's the expectations for turnovers this year? Obviously, it's something you want to improve upon, but what have you guys been working on to really make that a strong point and really a strength of the defense?
Well, I think one thing we've done is try to create a competition amongst practice with turnovers, and trying to see who's getting the most turnovers each and every day. So we have a turnover champ every day, meaning who gets the most turnovers, and we always post who gets the turnovers of that day, as well as we work on it offensively and defensively. They want to keep the ball. We want to make sure we're getting turnovers, so we have a turnover period now, which I think helps. And, when you're constantly talking about it, the ball is the key, and the ball is money. I think that along, with practicing those things will help us get a little bit more turnovers. And then on top of that, I think just with the experience, like you said, now with Trey Clark being his second year in the system, understanding where his help is, now able to jump routes, and heck, we dropped like 13 picks last year. So if we can catch those, we're probably not talking about this. This is not a topic right now. But so the guys on the jug machine, catching jugs as well. So hopefully, I only see that going up right there, Pat, from what we had last year.
A quick follow-up to that point right there. In regards to the secondary, how happy are you with the guys right now, and how much more do you feel like they need to improve to be where you want them to be?
Right now, Pat, to be honest with you, man, I'm really ecstatic with that group. The first and second group are doing tremendous in their coverage and being tight on routes. Keeping everything inside and in front of them. I think that's a big positive in 2 days. Offense does a lot of things, man, and they throw the ball deep a good bit of the time as well, and the quick game stuff, intermediate. And I'm very, very pleased with those guys. Like I told you, we got two safeties that really three safeties that haven't stepped foot on the field for us, that are playing a lot of snaps for us and doing tremendous within, Kendrick Duncan and Q Cole, even Ben Perry. He hasn't stepped foot on the football field yet for us, but those guys are doing tremendous, making the right checks, and playing really, really good football right now. So hopefully we continue that. All right. And because that first game of the season, we all know that they're going to throw the football, and we got to do a great job in coverage.
Two more questions, guys. Cam and Michael, and then we got to go.
Yeah, Bryan. A lot of people mentioned the defensive line. Obviously, it's key if you guys want to get a pass rush. I know you've talked about depth and you like the guys you had, but what do you guys have to do to get pass rush and kind of up the production from a year ago or last 2 years?
I think the main thing is this, Cam. Guys just got to win their one-on-ones. It's a lot of time last year we was in one-on-ones, and you got to win those, and that's the name of the game of football. You have to win your one-on-ones, and that's not just on the outside in coverage, but that's in any pass rush and any one-on-one block that you come across when you're in the front seven. And I think that's the number one thing. And then I also think that we have to do a better job in running certain games up front to where we're creating like a illusion of running this, but we're actually running this, and now you're getting guys scot-free, So if we can do a better job of that, that will help create a lot more pass rush, and hopefully then you'll be able to see, more errant throws as well as just throws it off time, and now some of those interceptions will come.
Hey, Bryan, you kind of mentioned on it there with the secondary a little bit, but Satterfield yesterday mentioned Chandler Jones is a guy that can play both the corner and the safety spot. What is it about him that gives you guys the confidence to have the flexibility with him like that?
Man, I think Chandler's he's just a smart football player. He's been within the system going on 3 years now, and with you having the same system for 3 years, that's a positive. We all know before we got here that wasn't the case. So he's very, very ecstatic and just a smart football player that loves the game. He's just been a different person in general since January. And he is locked in right now, man, and doing a great job getting extra work. But the one thing I see in Chandler right now is he's being a really, really good leader for the young guys and being a great example for those guys and help coaching them and getting them in the right positions and in the right places where they need to be. But you got a corner that can play safety. Now you can put a little bit more cover guys on the field, and that most definitely helps as a play caller, as well as now that may make that quarterback hold it just a little while longer to where hopefully we can win on one-on-ones and get a little bit better pass rush.
All right. Paul, did you have one real quick, Paul?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Bryan, it's Paul Rogers from Louisville Radio. Just, you touched on new guys a minute ago. You have so many. How long does it take you to really get a feel and a handle on those guys, where they'll fit in, if they'll fit in?
Well, I think after the first scrimmage and then a couple more practice after that, I think you have a good grasp on, who will be the guys that will end up playing for you this year and who are the guys that could potentially end up redshirting. I would say here in the next about week and a half or so, Paul, you kind of have a little bit better feel on it. And then we'll go from there with, our different packages and things and making sure that we have that ready for the first game of the season. Some guys, turn it on late in the season or midway through the season. So we want to make sure that those guys continue to prepare like they are a pro and that they are a starter. And when their time comes, it's time for them to shine as well. But just to answer your question on that, I think more so for that first game, probably here in the next about week and a half or so.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. Stay dry.